It started with a message. His coworker was being a little too sweet. Subtle but clearly interested. I didn't get jealous, I had a better idea. So when he walked in and saw what I'd planned, I just looked up and smiled. Come here, I whispered, this part's for you. Before we begin, if you're a regular here, don't forget to like the video and hit subscribe. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. You're in for something special, let's begin. He was already clutching at the sheets when I dropped down again, lips tracing the trail I knew drove him wild. I loved watching his chest rise, hearing the way his breath caught in his throat. It made me hungrier every sigh. Every twitch, every reaction was mine. I knew what he liked. I knew how to hold him there right on the edge, just long enough to make him lose control. By the time I climbed back on top of him, his eyes were glassy, his hands roaming my hips, like he couldn't decide whether to hold on or let go. He didn't have to choose. I made the decision for both of us. And when he finally gave in, pulling me closer, whispering my name like a plea, I smiled afterwards. We collapsed into a tangle of breath and skin. The sheets kicked to the floor. You're unreal, he murmured, still catching his breath. That might have been the best ever. I leaned over him, kissed his chest, and grinned. You say that every time, Will. He smirked. You keep proving me right. I pushed up on one elbow and reached for his phone on the nightstand. Actually, there's something I want to show you. I saw this move the other night. I think you'll like it. I unlocked the screen. But before I could pull up the video, a notification lit up. Sophie, you were so funny today, I swear you always make my day better. I paused. Sophie. I clicked the thread, curiosity taking over. Her messages weren't explicit. Nothing anyone could call out directly. But the tone, the timing, the emojis, the way she constantly complimented him. There was no mistaking it. She wasn't just friendly, she was interested. And what surprised me most was him. He wasn't flirting back, not really. But he wasn't stopping it either. He seemed amused, flattered. And maybe, just maybe, he liked the attention. You know she's flirting with you, right? I said, scrolling through the thread. He glanced over, still catching his breath. Who is Sophie from work? I turned the screen so he could see. You always make my day better. Come on. He squinted at the phone. That's just Sophie being nice. I smirked. Really? Is it normal for her to say, you light up her afternoons and send winky faces? He laughed. I guess I never thought about it like that. She's not exactly subtle, I said, leaning over him again, and you're not exactly stopping her. I didn't think it meant anything. He said, still smiling. It's kind of flattering, I guess. I leaned in close, my voice dropping. Oh, you like being the office crush. His eyes widened, caught between guilt and amusement. What, no? I mean, maybe a little. I grinned, dragging my fingers down his chest. Don't worry, babe. I get it, I'd flirt with you too. You do, he said, grinning. I kissed him softly, then whispered, and now I'm going to show you something even better. He raised an eyebrow. Better than what we just did. I didn't answer. I just slid lower down his body. Slower this time, keeping eye contact as I moved between his thighs. He looked stunned, curious, eager, a little nervous. I tilted my head and said, I want to try what I saw, let me handle it. The next morning, I woke up alone. My husband had left early to meet a client. He wouldn't be at the office. Sophie would. I lay in bed a little longer, thinking about those texts. The emojis, the way she leaned into every message. I could picture her laughing too hard at his jokes, brushing his arm, looking for excuses to talk to him. And I wasn't jealous, I was curious. He had no idea what she wanted, but I did, and I also knew what he would want, what he'd never admit out loud, but would lose his mind if it actually happened. And me, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't wondered. So I picked up my phone and sent the message. Hey, any chance you're free this afternoon? Just want to talk, nothing bad. She replied fast, sure. Is everything okay? Totally bring coffee and a good excuse to leave work early. I didn't have to wait long. She knocked about half an hour later, coffee in hand and nerves all over her face. Hi, she said, hi. I smiled, come in. She stepped inside cautious. You're prettier than I remembered, I said as she set the drinks down. Oh, thanks. Don't be shy, I get it. Get what the text? I said the way you talk to him. She froze. I didn't mean anything by... I'm not mad, I said calmly at all. She stared at me confused. I just think I added, stepping closer if you're going to flirt with him. You should do it properly. She blinked. What does that mean? It means I said, brushing her hair back, I have a proposition. Then I kissed her software, intentional, unapologetic. When I pulled away, she didn't move, which meant I was right. Her lips parted, breath shallow. Eyes locked on mine, like she wasn't sure if she was dreaming or just hadn't woken up yet. I brushed my hand down her arm. You're okay, I said gently. You don't have to do anything. She swallowed, but you kissed me. I nodded, and I meant it. Her gaze searched mine for something doubt. Permission, maybe both. I leaned in and kissed her again. This time she didn't hesitate. I felt her body soften into mine, her hand drifting to my waist. When I eased her shirt upward, she raised her arms without a word. Her skin was warm, and the delicate bra beneath made me wonder if she'd worn it, just in case I didn't ask. I lifted the shirt over her head, fingers grazing her back as the fabric slipped free. Her bra followed, then the rest, one layer at a time until she was stretched out. Nothing left between us. I took my time. My lips moved over her collarbone, then down to her chest, tracing slow lines along her ribs, her stomach, and the soft inside of her thigh. Her breathing quickened with every inch, fingers tightening slightly against the sheets. When I moved lower, right where she needed me, she was already trembling. I didn't rush. I simply listened to her breathing, her shifting the quiet sound she couldn't hold in. Her hips lifted slightly as I learned exactly what made her breathe like that. Her back tensed, her hands gripped the bedding, and then she let go quietly, completely. Every part of her giving in at once. I stayed there a moment, resting my head near her hip, as she gently tangled her fingers in my hair. That was, she whispered. Breath uneven, I know. I murmured, just breathe. The room stayed still for a while. I eventually sat up, my fingertips trailing lightly along her side. She turned toward me, cheeks still warm. I've never done anything like that. I smiled. You handled it beautifully. She laughed under her breath. You're dangerous, not really, I said, tilting my head. Just generous, she hesitated. I didn't answer. I just leaned back and let my straps slide off my shoulders. She understood. Her touch started light, exploring my collarbone, my waist, following the shape of me, like she was learning something she wasn't supposed to know. She kissed me again, slower this time, more certain. Then she slipped my top the rest of the way off and let her hands roam, taking her time as if memorizing every detail. I laid back watching her, letting her explore. When she reached my stomach, she paused. I gave her a nod. She kissed just below my navel, then followed the line downward with her lips. I felt the warm brush of her breath, and then my hand drifted into her hair. She started gently, still learning. But every sound I made gave her direction, and she kept going. I let go completely. My head tilted back, my breathing quickened, tension building with every second. I curled forward as everything hit at once. The sheets tightened my grip, a sound escaping I couldn't quite keep in. She crawled back up beside me, glowing with quiet pride. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. We stayed there, wrapped around each other. The sheets tangled at our waists. I told you I had a proposition, I murmured, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She smiled. I thought you meant like coffee. I was about to answer when the front door opened downstairs. She stiffened. I met her gaze with a calm smile. Relax, I said. This part's for him. Footsteps climbed the stairs. A moment later, he appeared in the doorway. His eyes widened. I sat up slowly. Still there. The heat of everything we'd shared still clinging to my skin. I looked straight at him, then patted the space beside us. Come here, baby, I said softly. You're going to love this. He stood in the doorway like he'd walked into a dream and wasn't sure he was supposed to be there. I walked to him slow and bare, the warmth of Sophie's mouth still humming under my skin. I didn't speak, I just kissed him soft. Sure, inviting. He didn't move at first, but when I unbuttoned his shirt and pushed it from his shoulders, he let it fall when I knelt to undo his belt. He breathed in sharply, and when I stood, took his hand and leaded him to the bed. He followed wide-eyed and silent. Sophie was already lying back, hair tousled, watching him with a mixture of curiosity and nerves. I looked at her. Help me, I said. She nodded and moved. Toward him, I kissed his neck as she lowered herself slowly. He gasped the moment she reached him, his hands grabbing the sheets, his chest lifting beneath my touch. It's okay, I whispered in his ear. Let us take care of you. His body twitched under her, breath catching in his throat. He looked at me, stunned. I kissed him again, deeper, this time studying him as she continued. His hand found my back. I stroked his hair and whispered, You're doing so well. His head tilted back. He moaned softly, breath broken and helpless. Sophie looked up. Her lips were wet. Her eyes wide, I smiled. Now it's your turn, lie back, I said gently. Sophie stretched out across the bed, breath shallow, legs parting just enough. She looked up at him, uncertain. He's nervous, I told her. So are you, but you both want this? I turned to him, reached for his hand, and whispered, She wants you, go to her. He nodded slowly, climbing over her with deliberate care. She reached up as he settled above her, her hands trembling slightly. I knelt beside them and ran my hand along his back. Take your time, I whispered. She reached for him and their bodies met. He froze. I leaned in close. It's okay. She can take you. His hips eased forward and Sophie moaned, fingers tightening at his sides. She's more than ready for you. I whispered into his shoulder. See how she holds you. He began to move slow and steady, and Sophie gasped beneath him. I climbed over her carefully, one knee at a time, positioning myself just above her mouth. He paused to adjust, making room for me. And then her lips began to move, and I felt her. I gasped, dropping my hands to his chest as he thrust deeper, and I leaned in to kiss him, our mouths meeting just above the tension building between us. You're inside her, I whispered between kisses. And she's inside me. Can you feel us both? He nodded, breath shaking, lost between the two of us. Eventually, I slid off and let them breathe. Your turn, I said to Sophie, guiding her up. Take control. She climbed on top of him, one knee at a time, then eased herself down, breath catching. As she settled, his head fell back, eyes wide, hands finding her hips. She started to move slow, cautious. Nice and easy, I murmured. Sitting beside them, let it build. Sophie found her rhythm, rocking gently, her hair falling forward. I kissed his cheek, stroked his chest, watched his muscles tighten under her. She's beautiful like this, I whispered. Isn't she? He didn't answer. He was breathing too fast, blinking like he couldn't believe it was real. Sophie picked up speed. His hands slid along her sides. Barely holding on, I leaned close, kissed his neck, whispered in his ear. Taken, loved, that's what you are right now. His mouth parted again. Sophie gasped above him, her breath matching his. I watched them both, his jaw clenching, her body rising and lowering in perfect rhythm. I saw it building, his hands tightened around her waist. His breath caught his legs, shifted beneath her. "He's close," I whispered. Sophie didn't stop. She kept moving. Keeping him right there, I cupped his face in my hands. "Kissed him hard, finish him, baby," I whispered to her. Sophie dropped down once more. Her breath unsteady, his whole body tensed. His head pressed back into the mattress, his fingers locking around her. A sound escaping his throat. Half breath, half surrender. And then he let go. Sophie collapsed on top of him. I curled up beside them, brushing his damp hair from his forehead. His eyes finally opened. I kissed him once slow, deep and full of every promise I just kept. Then I whispered, "That's what you get for being such a good husband." Be honest if you walked in and saw that. Would you hesitate or jump right in? What would you do in his place? Tell me in the comments, I'll be reading. And if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for being here.